All right, and then looking at the way too early spring outlook again, just kind of highlighting some teams here around the state. Who do you guys got? Who do you want to go with?
I can jump in. I want to shout out Stevenson High School. I think they got an intriguing duo on the mound and in the outfield with Frank Constable and Ryan Harris both going to UIC. I think pitching, like high end pitching talent like that is, not easy to come by. And if you have two of them that can, that kind of check those boxes, I think, that's a luxury that you can definitely have in the playoffs. And then they got a couple more arms. Drew Clark's a good one that we've seen in the past. Sam Prosk, Alex Hahn, Dylan Fawcett is an interesting 2027. He'll be a newcomer that should help add depth. But they got a couple interesting position players that I've liked in the past with Sam Adelman and Aiden Crawley, and then Ryan Martin, the JJC commit, and then Mason Nolasco. He's one that showed really well for us in the past at the state games this past summer. Elmhurst commit. He can play. He can kind of play all over, catcher, outfield. He's a good athlete. But then Constable and Harris will also both play a position as well. So I think they just got a nice, well-rounded group with some high-end talent, and then I think they got a chance to make a run.
I'll go next here. I'm going to take Providence Catholic. Just since I've been doing this annually, they're one of the better teams in the state, it feels like every year. Obviously, last year they lost a lot in that senior class, specifically kind of like a good mix of like their top three arms, right? And Cooper Eggert, Caston Gobert, and Nate O'Donnell. But Eggert and O'Donnell were two of their better bats as well. I know Eggert was kind of banged up throughout the spring, but they also lose a guy like Enzo Infelice. However, a lot to like with the guys that could step up this year. They'll bring back Sammy Atkinson, Sam Webb, Bryce Tenza. They'll add Landon Eamon to the mix, and then just some young arms that I think a lot of us are very high on, right? And we've talked on them in recent weeks, and that's Lincoln Boersma, Kobe Jordan, two guys right there in the 27 class, and then also a guy like Charlie Caroselli, and then you'll have Austin Leapart, who could be a dark horse to get some big time innings this year, 2028. So always like what Coach Mark Smith does over there at Provi, so that's a team I got my eye on.
You couldn't be more spot on. They're always going to have depth. And it's just like, all right, they lose an Enzo and Felice. All right, who's the next guy to step up? I think Cole Clower even threw some innings for them as a freshman. So I'm sure there's more guys that, we don't even know about, or maybe we don't realize they're in the mix that can help them out. I'm going, a team I like here is Plainfield North. We'll see how they do this year, but like one of the reasons I love them is Sam Finn. Like to me, if you have an ace on the mound, pretty much that guy like a Brandon Shannon was last year from McHenry, and they had a lot more than that. But the guy that, hey, when he takes the ball, you have a really good chance to win that game no matter who they play, and they have one of those guys. Sam Finn's a senior committed to Kentucky, big-bodied, and he's left-handed. I really like them anytime he takes the ball. According to Coach Darlington over there, pitching should be their strength. Coach Darlington's clubs just in the past always compete as well. That's one reason I like them, just to have a good year. They've got a ton of like 2026 two-way guys that are going to help them on the mound. Johnny Andrich is one, Matthew McCormick, Jackson Schott, Chase Holtzman. And then they've got a couple left-handed bats. I mentioned Johnny Andrich. It's going to be a two-way guy for him, but they also have Connor Edinburgh, who's just a compact left-handed hitter and kind of a performer. And then Joe Valenza is another left-handed hitter that we saw this past summer at our Last Chance Summer ID. And just watching the video, like it's long through the zone with some leverage uphill. Just a lot of guys to like there. Logan Hugel's another one that should be an impact bat. And we'll see what happens this spring, but just from a far too early look, that's a team I'm going to just kind of have my eye on from afar.
Yeah, I'm going to get in on Muhammad Seymour. Five regional titles in a row now. Last year they won 23 games. They did lose some key seniors on last year's group, but they do return some, four starting position players and then three starting pitchers from last year's group. It looks like pitching will probably be their strength this year. Max Young's going to be leading the way. Austin Wyke, just a couple guys there, but they have some young talent as well coming through the system that we've liked. And Coach DiFilippo, he's got a 382 and 176 record, 7 regional titles, 7 conference championships, and kind of like I mentioned on Coach Staub last year, always having Champaign Central ready to go. I think Coach DiFilippo always is kind of in the same boat. They're always consistently winning games. They're always going to perform and compete. I guess I should say they're always going to compete. So yeah, I'm going Muhammad Seymour this year. It's just a team to keep an eye on, and we'll see how they do.
I'm gonna go with Normal U High. I think that they have a good group, mixture of a couple of 2026 Caleb Hornbrook catcher committed to Lakeland, and then Isaiah Giganti committed to DMAC. And then they also have two big time 2027s and Parker Roop, middle infielder committed to Belmont, and then outfielder Cole Brent committed to Illinois. Carson Freerichs is a guy that really popped at one of our Central Illinois summer IDs. And he went on to the state games, as well as first baseman / outfielder Landon Beckman is another 27 to keep an eye on. And then they also have 28 catcher, outfielder, and pitcher Wes Thompson, who's ranked inside the top 50 of our rankings. So good group to look at, and very interested to see what they do.